Cool. Well, I'm so excited to get the opportunity to speak to Dale Vince on stage at Vegan Campout this year. You're the force behind Ecotricity, Forest Green Rovers, the planet's first vegan football club, and you've been leading the charge for a greener, kinder future. The title of this talk is The Cow in the Room. Can you tell us a bit more about what the cow in the room is and where did that concept come from?
Yeah, absolutely. So it kind of comes out of my first book, Manifesto, which I think we've been giving away today, in which I identified energy, transport, and food as the three big issues we need to deal with. It's 80% of all of our personal carbon emissions in those three things: how we power ourselves, how we travel, and what we eat. Following on from that, a few years ago, we've got energy under control. We'll be 100% green on the grid by 2030. And the electrification of transport, which we have to do, is well underway. The last thing standing, the biggest thing we need to deal with now, is the food that we eat, because it's driving the climate crisis, it's driving the wildlife crisis, and it's driving the human health crisis. And that's the starting place of the cow in the room. And the main, proposition of it is driven by my experience of being with environment activists, Greenpeace from 20 years ago, Extinction Rebellion, Just Stop Oil, people like that, who put themselves in harm's way for the environment and then go and eat a steak or a burger or something like that. And I'm like, that's cognitive dissonance, because you know better, but you can't bring yourself to simply stop eating meat. And we have to do that. We have to do two things to solve all of the crises we face. We have to stop burning fossil fuels and stop farming animals. Not more than that.
I think the crowd agrees with you with that, Dale. And yeah, I read Manifesto, your first book, and you are so interested in your background. So you went from being a New Age, you call yourself a New Age traveler. Maybe you can tell us a bit more about what that means in a sec. So you were living outside the system, and now you become someone determined to transform it from within. And was there like a pivotal moment when you realized you needed to move beyond living alternatively to creating the change that we need to see in this world?
First thing technical, the stage timer hasn't begun. We've still got 30 minutes. They might want to fix that. But look, I've been concerned about the environment since I was a kid, and I refused to accept the way that we were supposed to live back in the day: leave school, get a job, career, mortgage, all that kind of stuff. I dropped out, lived on the road 10 years, and kind of discovered renewable energy as part of that, because we didn't have energy on the road. We didn't plug into any mains and all of that kind of stuff. And I started using small windmills to power my life in the late 80s. And then in the early 90s, I just had this thought that I could live another 10 years on the road with a low-impact lifestyle myself, or I could try and drop back in and try and build a big windmill on the hill I was living on, which I knew was windy because I had a little windmill powering my life. And that was the beginning of my journey. But I've been concerned about sustainability since I was a kid. The rise of plastic back in the 80s and that kind of stuff. It's never seemed right to me. Our throwaway culture never seemed right to me. There's no soul in it. Apart from the environment issues, there's just no soul in it.
Nice. Woo! And yeah, you just mentioned Ecotricity, and yeah, it's like famously started with, I think, a single windmill powering your home. But I've heard that Glastonbury Festival played a crucial role in its growth. Can you tell us a bit more about what happened at Glastonbury that made you realize that this could be something much bigger than just your own energy needs?
Absolutely. And I'm pleased to say we've still got 30 minutes according to the timer. So no sweat. Glastonbury, it was the early 90s. I'd made this decision to drop back in. I lived on a hill. I lived in a trailer. I had no money, no qualifications or anything. But I decided to build a big windmill, which is a kind of crazy, ambitious thing to do. And I was aware of Glastonbury because I think I'd been there a few times as a traveler when we used to like drive over the fence and crash our way in and stuff like that. And I took this idea there. I took an old pylon that I'd got from a scrapyard and a windmill and some train batteries. And it was the early days of mobile phones, like 1991 or something like that. I took the idea of wind phones to Glastonbury. I put up this 60-foot tower with a windmill and 4 phones along the bottom and sold phone calls. And it was like a runaway success. Excuse me, that was lager. And And it helped me. It helped me fund the stuff that was coming next. I needed to build a tower to measure the wind on the hill I lived on. I needed to go for planning permission, all kinds of other stuff. And so it was fundamental in funding the work I had to do to build my first big windmill.
Nice, amazing. And actually, speaking of festivals and energy, I think it was last weekend, All Points East Festival in London was powered by another one of your inventions, grid ferries. Can you tell us a bit more about how that works and whether we might see vegan camp out powered by grid ferries next year?
I think to the last question first, and the timer's on. We've got 24 minutes now. I'm not sure that's right, but we're going to take it, right? To the second point, yes. I mean, it would be nice. The power demand here is really small. So the grid ferry's battery itself is a 1 megawatt battery with 3 megawatt hours. These are like technical energy industry terms. But it basically is what we call a big-ass battery. And the idea is a combination of my work and Claire. She's in the audience somewhere. She might jump up and give us a wave. Oh, she sat down giving us a wave. So her background's sustainability in festivals and events and gigs and stuff like that. My background's energy, and we got together. What we're trying to do is drive the diesel out of outdoor events. And that's the plan. And we've done Glastonbury, we've done WOMAD, we powered the Massive Attack gig on the Downs, and that was 100% battery powered. There's an immense and obscene amount of diesel burned at outdoor events in our country. Not so much here, it's quite a tiny consumption. But in the middle of London, for example, on Hyde Park, 1 million litres of diesel every year is burned to run events there. And the grid is across the road, and they do it every year for decades. So our mission is to intervene with our battery to say this is a different way to do it. Use a battery until you can bring the grid in and stop burning diesel.
Nice, amazing. I mean... Yeah, it's like so interesting and inspiring hearing about so many different things that you're doing, and I can't imagine how your brain works and managing all of these different things. But yeah, moving on to football, it seems like the crowd is a big fan of Forest Green Rovers. And it's not just the world's first vegan football club. You've also made it carbon neutral, installed solar panels, and created the first organic football pitch. So what's been the reaction from the broader football community in like proving that elite sport can be made sustainable?
Well, I think it's taken the trajectory that I think is quite common in life. It begins with shock, and then moves to ridicule, and then moves to imitation. And that's where we are now. And imitation is probably the wrong word. I would say that other people are now following what we do. In the world of football, in the Premier League, the leagues below us as well, but also in the worlds of rugby and cricket and tennis. And we teamed up with the United Nations in 2015, I think it might have been, or 18, to create a global version of what Forest Green does. They came to us and said, we like what you're doing. We want to do this globally. Basically what we're doing is reaching football fans through their favorite sport and showing them how they can live a different life. The idea behind the UN thing was to reach the billions of sports fans on the planet and show them a different way to live. And then the main themes are always energy, transport, and food. How you power your home, how you travel, and what you eat. So we signed up with the UN some years ago, and it is a global program now. And it's what we discovered at Forest Green was it's an amazing platform, an amazing way to reach people who would be stereotypically the last people in the world that you think you could sell this environment message to. It's not true, right? They're just ordinary people, sports fans, football fans, and we showed them the different things we were doing, told them why, and then we left them to it. And so many of our fans have gone veggie, vegan, they buy electric cars, solar panels, all that kind of stuff. It's just been the most awesome thing I think I might have ever done.
Nice. I think that's so important, trying to reach those audiences or communities that aren't traditionally going to be vegan, or maybe even, that we might assume that aren't going to be supportive of veganism or animals and climate. Can you tell us what's next for Forest Green Rovers? Do you have anything in the pipeline?
Well, I'm going to say win the league. That would be nice. If not playoffs, that would be also nice. But the most important thing for me is that we brought the fun back to the football at our football club with Robbie as our new manager. We're playing the most amazing football. Full tilt football is what I like to describe it as. And so fun is the most important thing. Promotion will come when we're ready, when everything else is aligned. But in terms of the environment, we've done everything we can do, bar get ourselves an electric team coach, and that's next on the list. And then the really big one is to move into our new home, an entirely wooden football stadium, the lowest carbon sports stadia ever built in history, actually, since the Romans invented concrete. And that's still a couple of years away, but we're on it.
Nice, amazing. And
Hey, he's wearing a shirt.
oh my God.
That's my favorite shirt, the pink away shirt. I love that one.
Nice. And talk about transport as well. So yeah, something I'm really excited about. You're launching, I'm not sure if you're launching or have already launched, but EcoJets. I know you were talking about this last year as well, the world's first electric airline powered by sustainable fuel. And how soon, I want to know, because I want to be able to travel without feeling guilty about it, and how soon will we be actually able to book a ticket on EcoJet, and what kind of dent can this make in aviation's carbon footprint?
All right, rewinding just a little bit. For me, being able to fly without emissions is one of the most important things that we can achieve, because the right wing, right now especially, are saying that our mission to get to net zero or green living or whatever we call it is about going back to the, I don't know, the caveman ages or something like that. It's about giving stuff up, living a life of denial. Now, most of our work in the last 3 decades has been about proving that different. Like our organic football pitch is just not organic, it's award-winning. The car we made in 2010, the Nemesis, Britain's first electric car, it wasn't just an electric car, it was a supercar. And so my experience in life is if you're going to introduce a green thing, it has to be better than the current alternative. And there are several frontiers that we think are impossible to cross. Flying is one of them. We all think we have to give up flying. My message is we don't. We just have to fly another way. That's the philosophy of our football club and of our group of companies, another way. We just find another way to do things. So what we've got are electric motors on airplanes. We're not going to build new airplanes. We're going to retrofit them with electric motors, fuel cells, and hydrogen tanks. And to your question, we hope to be in the air within 18 months with the first zero-carbon passenger flights in the world.
Wow. That is, yeah, I think that's like huge. Yeah, I think you're just like changing the world in so many ways, and actually talking about the skies or air. I'm trying to do a kind of smooth transition here. Yeah, this is something I didn't know about you that I found out recently, that you're turning carbon from the air into diamonds. It sounds like science fiction or something. I don't know how this is working. But yeah, you've made it real with Skydiamonds. Yeah, how do you see like this transforming industries like jewelry and even the way we think about carbon?
Yeah, so Skydiamonds was like a daydream of mine 10 years ago. I was thinking about the geoengineering of the planet that we need to do at some point. When we get to net zero, the job isn't finished. We'll have too much carbon in the atmosphere, and we have to find a way to bring it out, to bring the levels down. I was thinking about that and thinking that it's actually only half the job to bring the carbon out. We've got to lock it up into a permanent form. De Beers tell us that diamonds are forever, right? I'm like, okay, so we need to turn it into diamonds. It took about 7 years of R&D to find a way to do that, and we launched the company about 3 years ago. And although I thought it was a carbon capture project by conception, the amount of carbon in a diamond is really very small, and it's quite an expensive process. So we can compete with the diamond industry. We can make better, cleaner diamonds for roughly the same money. But what we discovered was the numbers behind a traditionally mined diamond are horrendous. The industry itself never published them, so we commissioned a study. Now, a carat of diamond is like about that big. It's 1/5 of a gram. And the industry digs 1,500 tons of rock to pull this 1/5 of a gram out of the ground. And it exposes 30 tons of toxic metal in the process, uses 500 tons of water, and emits 500 tons of greenhouse gas at the same time for this tiny stone. And there are 150 million of them dug out of the ground every year. So Skydiamond became an avoidance project, a classic another way, right? People like diamonds, that's fine, have a diamond. But we can mine the sky for them in a much better way than mine the ground. So like fossil fuels, where we say keep them in the ground, we say the same about diamonds now.
Awesome. So, is there anyone thinking about proposing anytime soon? Then check out Skydiamonds, and yeah, you can do it ethically. But yeah, moving on to campaigning, because this is something I'm really excited about, and you have a charity called the Green Britain Foundation, and similar to some of the work we're doing in Animal Rising, you're campaigning against factory farming, doing investigations, you're actually covering a broad range of topics. But recently you've launched a campaign called Fish Net Zero. Could you explain more about what that's about and the impact you hope that it will achieve?
Yeah, I mean, it's the name is a bit of fun, and the project itself is quite serious. Fishermen basically just throw their nets away when they don't want them anymore, and they sit at the bottom of the sea or on wrecks and stuff like that, and they trap and they kill sea life. They're a bad thing. So there's a team of people up in Scotland that go out and dive and pull this stuff out of the water. We've funded a boat, we fund the work. We've found a way to recycle these plastic fish nets into T-shirts and actually goal nets for forest green are coming next. And so that's just a little thing we're doing. We're also funding the reseeding of oyster beds in the Orkney to bring oysters back. So we're doing rewilding in the sea as well as cleaning it up and some rewilding on land.
Wow, that's incredible. Thank you. And also, along the lines of campaigning and activism, you recently flew a Palestinian flag at Ecotricity headquarters saying...
Thank you.
Saying international law and human rights should be common across all nations and races. So how do you see the connection between climate and animal justice and human rights? And also, how do you respond to the critics that are saying that a business leader shouldn't be engaging in something so political?
I say, fuck that. We don't live in a vacuum, right? And as business people, we don't operate in a vacuum either. We have moral responsibility. People said the same to me in football. The environment doesn't belong in football, they said to me. I said, fuck that, actually. And now the environment is in football. It's impossible. I don't understand why people would say such a thing. We can all see what's happening in Palestine, and we cannot sit quietly wherever we work, whatever platform we have. We can't sit quietly and see that happen. I flew the Palestinian flag. We flew the Palestinian flag at Forest Green in 2022. We got all kinds of flack for it. But we did it because we could see what was happening in Ukraine with the Russian invasion. We could see the incredible sanctions that were openly claimed to break the Russian economy, the $300 billion worth of weapons that are being poured into Ukraine. And then we look at what's happening in Palestine, and there's nothing remotely similar. The arms are flowing to Israel, and there are no sanctions on Israel. I mean, I can't believe it. I think it's incredibly wrong. We will have recognition of Palestine in September. That's a tiny but important step. We need to go further. We need sanctions on Israel, complete sanctions, a trade embargo, and an arms embargo now.
Yeah, so brave of you to be standing up for something that could potentially affect your businesses or you and your reputation. But I think clearly you have so much support from everyone in this room. And do you have any advice for anyone else, whether it's campaigners or business leaders that may also feel like they should take this risk or want to take those risks in speaking out about issues like Palestine? Do you have any advice for those people?
It's hard to give advice. But I think that on this issue, I would say the majority of the country are with us. And so it requires a little bit of courage, maybe to speak out. There are groups that will go around accuse you of anti-Semitism and stuff like that. That's a stupid thing to say. This is about human rights. I say just be brave. There are more important things in this life than money and business, and human rights is one of them.
And I have one more question before opening out to the floor, to a couple of questions from the audience. But clearly everyone here cares deeply about animals, about the planet, about human rights issues too, and many of them might want to make change but feel overwhelmed by the scale of the challenges that we face. And based on your journey and all of your many years of campaigning and starting businesses to tackle these challenges, do you have any advice? I know you just said it's hard to give advice. But do you have any advice to help people, or give them the courage to believe that they can achieve extraordinary things as you have?
Like, I've been asked many times what advice I would give to somebody about this, that, or the other. My favorite piece of advice is don't take advice, not from anybody. Don't take it from me. My circumstances, my experience, they won't relate to yours in whatever it is you're looking at. That's my favorite piece of advice. Perspective is what I would offer. We have more power than we think we have. Every day we spend money on three big things: energy, transport, and food. We decide which way the world goes round. The businesses out there, they pander to what it is they think we want to buy. We show them that by buying it and not buying the other stuff. We have far more power than we think, and we need to use it. The boycott of Israel has begun. There has been a slump in imports from Israel in the last few weeks. That's a great example of consumer power. We broke apartheid South Africa with a consumer boycott. So my advice is perspective. We have the power.
Great advice. Yeah, so now we'd love to open it up to the floor. I mean, I feel like there's like a million questions I could ask you, Dale, but yeah, I'm going to let some others ask you some questions. We've got a couple of hands over here. I think Beryl or someone was going to run around with a microphone. Or do you need one of these microphones?
He's run
Okay,
away.
he's coming, he's coming.
Come on, Beryl.
Do you need this one?
Meanwhile, I'll tell you about one thing we're doing that I think will interest you, if it's okay. We're turning grass into a human edible form of food. We've done it in the laboratory. It turns out that grass is a superfood, chock full of protein, calcium, minerals, vitamins, and essential oils. It's a proper superfood and a secret the cows have been keeping from us. We grow enough grass in our country already to feed to cows, with which we, using our process, could make enough protein to feed the whole country twice over every year. There's an abundance of great food beneath our feet. That's our latest thing.
Hey, sorry
Hey.
to be that guy, but given their unequivocal support for Israel, are you still a supporter of the Labour Party?
Sorry, I didn't quite hear you. Could you shout in the mic?
Yeah, I said, given the unequivocal support that Labour have shown for Israel, are you still a supporter of the Labour Party?
Yeah, I've been outspoken critically about what Labour haven't done enough. But the answer is not to have a Tory government or for Raj in number 10. That's not the answer. So I do support them, and I nag them as a critical friend.
Hello, Dale. Just a quick one around food security in the UK and travel. Solar panels on farmland or on roofs and car parks, and why?
All of it. There's no either or. We have enough rooftops, home rooftops in our country to make 13% of all the electricity we need, which is a quarter of the gap from the 50% we're at now to the 100% we need. But we've got industrial rooftops and we've got land. And solar parks are not being built on food-producing land. That's a right-wing myth. So we need a mixture of all of them to move as fast as we can to 100% green on the grid.
Hello, thank you for taking the time to talk to us today. I just finished reading your book manifesto and loved it. I highly recommend it to anyone here. Incredibly inspiring, also laugh out loud, funny at times. I've got your second book on pre-order. My question to you is, and forgive me if this idea has already crossed your very sharp mind, as you've had your fingers in so many pies over the years and made such monumental strides in the renewable energy movement, and being a biker myself, would you ever broach the realm of investing in vegan, non-fossil fuel-powered motorcycles? Why or why not?
I'm still a biker. I've got an electric bike. I'm making an electric bike. I think the big producers have been too slow to make a good electric bike, and so we're doing it much like we did with the car in 2010 or 28 when we began it. We were like, well, there's no electric car in the world. We'll make one. There are electric bikes, but they could be better. I'm all for it.
Hi there.
Give us a wave.
Hello.
Gotcha.
I just wanted to...
No, I meant if you've got the mic. Where's the mic, please?
Okay, hi.
Gotcha.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hi there. I just wondered, how do you mine the metals for the solar panels ethically?
I don't think it's mined in the same way that all things are mined, and it absolutely comes with environment downsides. There's no doubt about that. There's no point hiding from that. But the difference is we can mine metals and fossil fuels for the current way of making energy and transport and all of that kind of stuff. And we're making a single-use fuel and a machine like an internal combustion engine that will wear out and pollute during its life. If we mine to make solar energy, we mine for a purpose of making clean energy. When we mine to make batteries for an electric car, it's the same thing. My big picture argument is the downsides are outweighed by the upsides and is better than our current practice. But there are no, I would say, perfect solutions. We can mine better, that can be done. And that's where we should put the pressure on. We shouldn't be saying, oh, you have to dig a hole in the ground and get some metal out, therefore we can't make solar panels. That doesn't make sense.
Hi, Dale.
Hey,
Just a quick one. Where are we with the gas mill, with the grass and that? I know you had a bit problems with them, but where are we sort of now with it?
Yeah, thank you. We did have a very big problem. We've had to go back almost to basics and redesign the process for getting the grass into the grass mill. We did make some gas, but we couldn't sustain it. We should be up and running by the end of this year at the same site with a new process and making gas from grass. And our new thing of making food from grass is kind of part of a bigger picture future where we'll take the grass to the grass mill, we'll extract the food value, and then we'll extract the gas from it as well. It'll be the first time in human history we've been able to make energy and food from the same piece of land.
Hi, Dale. I heard some information about you building some eco-houses. Is that still on the plan?
Yeah, so when we finally get to move Forest Green to Eco Park, I think we may have planning permission now. The idea anyway is to build something like 90 homes on the old site that would be low carbon, affordable homes. And we'll try and adopt some of the very latest construction methods like, the kind of pre-pack, prefab type homes that get put up in like no time, have great levels of insulation, perhaps don't even have energy bills and that kind of stuff. We may do some of that at Eco Park as well. It's a 100-acre site. We've got room for a lot of things, but there's also going to be a green tech business park there, and we'll build buildings there, offices and factories that are also made in the same way.
I've been told that this is the last question.
Thank you, and thank you for all that you're doing. It sort of relates a bit to the first question, and given the very disappointing performance of the Labour government, rather than being a critical friend, would you consider standing for the new, incredibly popular Your Party?
I'm going to say sadly no. Jeremy Corbyn is a friend of mine. He is, and I love him. But I think that party can only help Farage into number 10. It can only split the left-wing vote. I'm sorry.
So yeah, thank you so much, Dale. Yeah, it's incredible and so inspiring hearing about everything that you're doing to change the world. And yeah, thank you, audience, for being so lovely. Dale will be at the Ecotricity Lounge, which is just over there, giving away free copies of Manifesto, I believe signed copies. So yeah, please go over there, meet Dale, and yeah, pick up your free copy of Manifesto. Did you have any final words, Dale?
I do now. Yeah, look, thank you, Rose. Thank you, everybody. It's been a fabulous session. I really enjoyed myself. Sorry about the last question. I feel I disappointed you, but that's all I have, the truth. Thank you so much.